Can you all hear me now? I've just been hard talking. Can you hear me now? Facebook and YouTube, can you hear me now? I think I may have had the mute button pressed, and I've just been hard talking over here. Let me know if you can hear me. I'm glad I looked down at the comments. Yeah, I was giving this example about salads, right? I saw this meme where somebody put up a meme that had this stacked salad and said, people on diet salad be like, and it had this big old stacked salad, but it proved the point of Proverbs 25 and 27. That's where we are tonight. It's not good to eat too much honey, even if something is good for you. If you do not manage it with self-control, what was designed to be good to you can become harmful to you. Even too much of a good thing. I'm going to get in trouble with this. Oh, this is going to be so bad. Even too much of a good thing can become detrimental if it is not given to you in the spirit of control and balance. Those of you that have been connected to me for years, you know how I feel about this. I love the Lord. I love church. Even in our declaration, we talk about loving the Lord and liking church, but we like flights, boats, and vacations. I remember when I came out and wrote that declaration, there were a lot of people looking kind of weird. I can't believe this guy is actually having people say this. I know it sounds odd, but hear what I'm saying. This is going to sound bad, but just hear me out. Too much church. Some of you are probably thinking, Doc, is there such a thing as too much church? I don't know if I want to go as far as to say there's such a thing as too much church, but I will say this. A whole lot of church and nothing else in your life is like you eating too much honey. Now, I know, I'm going to get killed for this. I always get killed for these perspectives and revelations. I always get killed for them, but I just need you to hear me out. I just need you to hear me out. What is one of the greatest challenges even for the church today is that most people that go to church, that are in church all the time, can only deal with what kinds of people? People who are in church all the time. And thus, our events, our services, our conventions are all filled uniformly with the same types of people. They're filled with the same types of people. And that's the challenge in this. The challenge in this is we have to understand that while serving God is great, and I'm obviously not anti-serving God, understand this, that if eating too much honey can be bad for you, if all you do is go to church and you don't do nothing else, you have no other balance in no other area of your life, I'm here to tell you, it doesn't mean you're going to live a bad life. But what it does mean, and could easily mean, is that you're not going to live the most fulfilled life you could live. In fact, if you need Bible, the Bible tells us, Jesus said it plainly. He says that I come that you might have life and have it more abundantly. What does abundant life look like? It doesn't look like just going to church. I know, I'm going to get killed for this. Doc is losing it. He's telling us not to go to church. I'm not telling you to go that. I need you to hear everything I'm saying in the context. What I'm saying to you is part of having self-control is understanding the power of balance. Part of having self-control is understanding the power of temperance and having the type of temperament that causes you the same type of temperament you would need to make a salad and not put 4 pieces of chicken on top of the salad is the same temperament you need to understand that there's more to life than going to church 7 days a week. And I'm afraid that many of you are going to discover that in your walk with Christ, as powerful as it is, you are no different than Proverbs 25 and 27, where the writer says plainly, it is not good to eat too much honey. All you do is go to church, and the only people you can engage with are church people. And I don't know about y'all, but I don't want that for my life as a believer. Nothing brings me greater joy than to be at a church, at a mall, at convocation, or in a restaurant. and I can talk to and engage anybody. Now I know I'm going to lose some of you Convocation Convention folks. I know it. But I just need you to hear me out. If Jesus did it, we've got to make sure that we can also exercise the same amount of self-control to be disciplined and balanced. All right? Let's go further. I'm almost done. Proverbs 25:27. Look at the B clause of that. So he says in the first part, he says, it's not good to eat too much honey. Then he says, and it's not good to seek honors for yourself. What does self-control have to do with people seeking honors for themselves? It's real simple. When you lack self-control, you lack the ability to wait your turn. I need somebody to write that in the notes. That's the first note I gave you tonight. When you lack self-control, you lack the ability to wait your turn. When you lack self-control, you lack the ability to wait your turn. And this is why so many people can't praise other people, because they're in a hurry to be praised themselves. Some of y'all can't give kudos to somebody else's outfit because you're busy waiting on them to give you praise on your outfit. And it takes self-control to not search out your own glory. King James Version says it that way, that it is it's not good for men to search out their own glory. For doing so is not glory. It takes self-control to not want to honor yourself above other people, or always seek to honor yourself above other people. And we're struggling in this space. People are struggling when it comes to self-control because they don't understand that it takes a greater level of discipline and self-control. You're going to hear me use the words discipline, temperance, and self-control all together quite frequently, because they're like first cousins. If you're going to have self-control, you got to have a little bit of discipline. If you're going to have discipline, you got to have a little bit of self-control. And people struggle with praising others because they don't have the self-control to wait their turn. But this doesn't just relate to praise, y'all. This also relates to how you advance in life. Many of you have quit jobs prematurely, not because you weren't good and not because they looked over you for a promotion. You quit the jobs too prematurely because you didn't have the self-control to wait. I know, y'all not gonna like some of the stuff I'm gonna say tonight, but I need you to hear me. You didn't have the self-control to wait your turn. You didn't have the self-control to build your skills up even more so that you could build them up to the point where you were promotable. It was nothing wrong with the job. You had the perfect boss. You had the perfect manager. You had the perfect situation. But you looked over at your neighbor. You looked over at the person that worked in your department who had been there less than you, who didn't have the qualifications you had, and they got promoted. And what did you do? You based how your life should have moved based on how their life was moving, and you weren't exercising self-control. And it takes self-control to ride your lane. It takes self-control to say, this is my lane, this is my race, this is the direction that God has me moving in, and I'm not going to determine how I turn in my lane based on what other people are doing. Because when you do that, that's when you are attempting to seek honor for yourself. You are attempting to create glory and praise and promotion for yourself. And you don't have to do that when you got self-control. When you have self-control, you got the power to wait your turn. When you have self-control, you have the self-confidence to realize that when it is your turn, any opportunity that's for you ain't gonna miss you. And somebody needs to hear that tonight. Somebody needs to shift out of this mode of making things happen and exercising the self-control to let things happen. That's another bar you might want to record. You need to shift out of this mode of trying to make things happen in your life and get into this place of exercising ultimate soul that says, I ain't got to make nothing happen. All I'm responsible for doing is showing up in every space, at work, church, with friends, family, spouse, co-workers, whoever. My job is to show up in every space as the best version of me and have the self-control not to get ahead of myself or others and let things happen as they be. Y'all, it takes self-control to do that. And when you don't have self-control, you'll look at your friend getting engaged and you'll go out here and get engaged to a loser because you feel like you got to have somebody because your friend got somebody. That's called a lack of self-control. When you don't have self-control, you'll get thirsty for any person, single people, who wants to talk to you, who wants to engage you, because you figure the biological clock is ticking. I'm getting older. I need to date them all. You'll get into all of that stuff, but it takes self-control to wait and say, I'd rather wait on the right situation than entertain all situations. Oh, the chat line is quiet. Y'all not talking. It takes self-control to do that. And people who have self-control also have self-control or control over their lives. I've been, and I think this is appropriate. I've been talking to a lot of people lately, clients in my personal professional work, about the power of celibacy. And one of the things that makes celibacy so powerful is that it is an exercise in self-control. That's what it is. It's an exercise in self-control and discipline. And when you are when you have enough self-control to control your body, you are absolutely invincible. Do you know what I've discovered? I hope I don't get in trouble. I've discovered that people who struggle with self-control in one part of their lives tend to struggle with self-control in all part of their lives. I want to say that again slow because I need everybody to catch this. People who tend to struggle with self-control in one part of their lives tend to struggle with self-control in all parts of their lives. So if they don't have the self-control to manage the self-control to manage what they eat during the week, if they're supposed to be on a restricted diet, they also don't have the same self-control to manage who they physically engage with. I know y'all don't believe this. I know. Doc, you being wild tonight. No, I'm not. I'm being honest. Self-control, people of God, is one of the most powerful things you can possess. Greater than money. Greater than how many friends you got. Greater than how many degrees you have. Greater than what family you came from. Your ability to control your behavior and control your actions, and this is the big one, control your tongue. If you can control your behavior, if you can control your actions, and if you can control your tongue, you can't be stopped. I don't see no hearts. Maybe y'all, we got viewers tonight. Y'all must be taking this in. If you can control your behavior, if you can control your actions and your tongue, you're unstoppable. And most people, if they can't control one of them, they can't control all three. Now, I know some of y'all, this is going to require you to take a look at yourself tonight. But ask yourself, here you are in the store, and the lady cuts you off, or somebody says something crazy you sideways in the store, and you can't control your tongue, and you go back off at the lady. You know, somebody, let me use my best example. You're driving down the road, somebody cuts you off. Best example. And you got the fish on the back of your car, and you want to go off, and they cut you off, and here you are going off cussing, going off in your car because you're pissed off because they cut you off. I can almost guarantee you, they don't just cut you off and then you just say, well, y'all just go on. I mean, you should have cut me off, bleep, 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 and then you turn off. No, what did most of y'all do? They cut you off, and what do you do in your car? You follow them a little bit, don't you? I don't see no amens in the chat. I don't see no hearts flying up the screen. What do most of you do? You follow them, don't you? Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Or if you don't follow them, they cut you off. You hit that horn. So you didn't, number one, you didn't cuss them out. Number two, you didn't lay it on the horn. So you ain't controlled your tongue. And because you couldn't control your tongue, you also didn't control your actions or your behaviors. I'm telling you, most people that can't control one can't control all three. I mean, is this making sense to anybody tonight? This self-control is so powerful because when, Bunch, I'm going to get you. When you can control yourself, then you're literally invincible. There's nothing anybody can do to you that can rattle you. But y'all, we get easily rattled because we don't have self-control, and it bleeds over into our lives. We don't have control on our jobs. We don't have control on our relationships. We don't have control in our sexual habits. You don't have control in your sexual habits. So you out here entertaining any and everything. Why? Because self-control is not even evident in that part of your life. Not realizing that when you can control, when you can exhibit ultimate control over yourself mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, financially. If you've gone to my personal channel, you've heard me talk about those 5 things over and over again. You know, in my work and helping people try to heal themselves and become the best version of themselves, I always talk about mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, financial wholeness. But think about those 5 things. If you put self-control over your mental, over your emotional, over your spiritual, over your physical, over your spending, you're unstoppable. You're unstoppable. Because self-control literally bleeds into all parts of our lives. I've yet to meet a person. Maybe they exist. I've yet to meet a person who couldn't control their spending but could control their mouth. I'm serious. They are all interchangeable. I've yet to meet a person who could control their spending. They could budget their money. They didn't blow their money on stuff. I've yet to meet a person who could control their spending, but they couldn't control their tongue. I've yet to meet a person who could control their spirits, their spending, and they couldn't control their behavior. Because the same control you exercise in your spending and discipline, you should be applying to other areas of your life. It's so important. Look at this last verse. Proverbs 25, verse 28 says this. So the writer says, first, it's not good to eat too much honey. We talked about that. It's not good to seek honors for yourself. We talked about that. All of these things reflect self-control. But look at what he says in verse number 28. He says, a person without self-control is like a city with broken down walls. Why is that important? Because a city with broken down walls, this is symbolic that that city has been vulnerable. Right? Because walls back in ancient days were considered to be things that were built around cities to keep enemies out of your space. So the writer's saying that a person without self-control is like a person who's operating as a city without walls, which means when you have no self-control, you're vulnerable to everything. When you have no self-control, I need somebody to record this. When you have no self-control, you are literally vulnerable to everything. You are susceptible to anything when you don't have self-control. You literally are walking around with your guard down. You're walking around in the middle of COVID without a mask and no vaccination. When you live your life without self-control, because you are then at that point vulnerable and open to attacks from all different directions. You've got to master self-control. And I like that. I'm glad I looked down because Mother Doris just put up a very powerful comment. And she's right. She's right. And that is, when you're young, you be worried about all kinds of stuff. But when you get older, as you get older, you learn to master self-control more because you master the fact that not everything that happens is important. Not everything that happens is worth your response. Not everything that happens is worth your time and attention. Many of us lack self-control because we major in the minor and minor in the major. Did y'all hear what I said? Many of us lack self-control because we major in the minor and minor in the major, meaning you make the stuff that ain't important real important. And the stuff that's real important, you not making that important enough. And so this helps us to manage our ability to walk in spaces, operate in spaces, live in spaces under a guise of control. Y'all, I'm telling you, when you master self-control, you just master so many things, and you really rip back the power that so many people have given. So many of you have given your power away to other people because you've allowed their moods and their behaviors and what they've done to you and how they've treated you. You've allowed those things to impact you, not realizing you have turned over your power unnecessarily. Master self-control and you master your power. Master self-control and you position yourself to a place where nobody has more influence over your actions, behaviors, and words than you do. I need to say that again slow. When you master self-control, you realize that that nobody has more control over your actions, behaviors, and words than you do. And that's what mastering self-control does. When you're in control of you, you realize you do stuff not because people made you do it. You do stuff because you wanted to do it. You say stuff not because people made you say it. You say stuff because you wanted to say it. And you thought it out before you said it. And before you made the words and the comments and the response to their smart remarks, you thought about what you wanted to say. You played it out in your mind. Why? Because even thinking before you speak demonstrates self-control. A lot of us, I know we struggle with self-control because you don't think before you talk. You say the first thing that comes off your mind and then have the audacity to brag and say, I just speak my mind. Y'all, I don't speak my mind. Now, I want to be real clear here. Y'all know Dr. Zeb keeps it 100. I will talk about other folks. I don't talk about stuff that other folks don't want to talk about. I'll deal with topics other people don't want to deal with. That's what I've been called to do. Because my ministry has been called to be larger than just a building. So I'll talk about anything, but please understand that even in my keeping it real about talking about subjects, don't think for 1 second I have not utilized the self-control to think about what I'm going to say. Which should tell all of us this: you can keep it real and still be in control. I need somebody to record that. That's a word. Because some of you think you can't do the same. You think you can't keep it real and be under control at the same time, but you actually can. You can keep it real and still have self-control at the same time. And that's especially true when it comes to your words and your actions and your behaviors. It's especially true. Many of you are just running aimlessly and letting life and situations, and Lord, you letting haters. I can't remember the last time I talked about a hater. Thank God. God has moved me beyond that young hater phase. You know, when you're young, you always talk about haters. I don't even know if I got haters, because if I do, I think it's just people that really secretly like me and they ain't figured out how to express it. Like, you know, many of you are just such in that phase where you're letting your haters and all of these people influence how you act and think and respond. And I'm here to tell you, If people can influence how you think, if people can, and I mean this in a negative way, by the way, let me be clear here. If people can negatively influence how you think and negatively influence how you feel and negatively influence the words that you say and the things that you speak and the actions you take, I'm here to tell you, you have no self-control. Self-control is more than about just watching what you do. It is also watching your ability to let other people negatively influence you. You gotta have self-control. And when you do, then your vulnerability to, or your susceptibility to negative things and what people might say or do, or your susceptibility to things that might stop you decreases, because you recognize you're not operating as a city without walls. Your greatest wall that you have up is self-control. I have enough self-control to understand I don't have to respond to everything. I have enough self-control to understand that everything that has my name on it doesn't necessarily involve me. I have enough self-control to understand that if it ain't my business, I don't have to get in it. Self-control solves a lot of problems. It solves so many problems in our lives when we just understand the power of operating in it. Listen, y'all, I'm done. This bless anybody tonight? Life said it been 35, 40 minutes here lately. We went to 40 minutes tonight. And I'm telling you, Life said has been powerful. These one-word messages have been powerful. Somebody needs to go back and re-listen to this and really examine your life and ask yourself, am I showing up with enough self-control? Am I living my life with enough self-control? And if the answer to that question is no, I need you to go back to the drawing board. I need you to go back to the drawing board and find the strength and the determination, the discipline, the temperament to manage how you show up in spaces. It's so important, because if not, when we don't have self-control, we become subject to things that are outside of us. We allow things that are outside of us to control us. We allow behaviors that are outside of us to control us. We allow opinions that are outside of us to control us. That's when you have no self-control. You've got to utilize the kind of self-control that puts you solely in control of your life. Because absent of that, you are living a life that is being influenced by things outside of you. When you operating in self-control, don't matter what people do. Don't matter what people say. Don't matter what people think. Don't matter how people respond. It don't matter if they don't respond at all. Because you're operating in the kind of self-control and discipline where you recognize that only you, go back to what I said earlier, are in control of your actions, behaviors, and your words. Self-control is the management of your action, behaviors, and words. And until you can manage your actions, behaviors, and words, you become vulnerable to what other people think, want, or desire for your life. You got to operate in self-control. You've got to utilize the discipline to put the wall up, like Proverbs 25 and 27 says, to put the wall up around your life so that things like that, attacks, cannot come in and subdue your life. But you live the kind of life that says, I'm in control of this. Don't matter what's going on out there. Don't matter what people say or think. Don't matter none of that. Doesn't matter even sometimes how I feel. I'm in control of where I am right now because I'm exercising the discipline to manage what I say, to manage how I think, to manage how I respond, to manage my actions, to manage my behaviors. I said it earlier. I'll say it one final time, and then we're going to pray. Show me a person who does not have self-control in one area of their lives, and I'll show you a person who probably has no self-control in all areas of their lives, because it bleeds over. If you're not managing your money, you're probably not managing your health. If you're not managing your health, you're probably not managing your emotions. If you're not managing your emotions, you're probably not managing your mental wellness. If you're not managing your mental wellness, you're probably not managing your spiritual wellness. It all bleeds over. So we've got to understand that self-control isn't just for one area of our lives, but self-control is so powerful that if you manage it and master it in one area of your life, you'll apply the same discipline to all areas of your life. I don't want to just be financially strong and disciplined, but my body is all over the place. Or I don't want to just be physically intact, but then I can't control my mind and my emotions. Right? You got to exercise the same level of self-control that you have in one area and pull it over into all areas of your life so that ultimately you can then live a balanced life. Right? You can ultimately live a balanced life. Listen, I hope this bless y'all. Connect your hands. Like this is a sign of symbol of faith. If you've got a prayer request, you can type it in the comments while I'm praying. I did not mean to run over this late tonight, but I'm telling you, life study has been so powerful on Tuesdays. One word messages. We've been doing it for the majority of the year. We're going to continue this throughout the rest of the year. Simple sometimes is better. But we've talked about everything from consistency to work ethic, everything. But this message on self-control, if some of you are just tuning in, you need to go back and watch this message because it's powerful. You've got to have the discipline and the temperament to be able to control your life. And when you do, you're unstoppable. When you operate in self-control, you're unstoppable. Nobody can stop you. When you can control you, your feelings, your emotions, your thoughts, there's nothing that nobody else can do that can bother you or phase you. And that's what I desire for all of you. Connect your hands like this as a sign of symbol of faith. After you've typed in your prayer request, make sure you do that in the comments. We certainly want to honor those and continue to pray for you this week. Let's pray. Father, in Jesus' name, thank you tonight for this powerful word that you've given us on self-control. It's my prayer. Somebody heard this word and has been challenged to apply these principles to their lives. God, I don't want any of us to live our lives where we lack control in one or two or three areas. Help us, God, to have self-control in all areas and facets of our lives so that we can show up as whole and complete and balanced and well-rounded as we possibly can be. Not just strong spiritually, but strong physically, strong financially, strong emotionally, strong in every area, strong in our relationships, strong in our careers. We want to show up strong in all spaces. And tonight, God, we recognize that it takes self-control to do that. Help us, God, to show up in spaces under control with the discipline to be under control so that we can just maximize our potential in you. Now, God, for every prayer request that has been typed in the comments, that has been emailed to our inbox tonight, we lift them up to you. We ask, God, that you would answer the prayers of your people as only you can. Make ways, open doors, meet needs, grant heart's desires, fix conditions as only you can. Somebody this week has an incredible appointment with a doctor this week. God, we want you to be a healer in their lives. Somebody right now is going through a challenge with their family and with their friends, their loved ones. God, we want you to be the mediator and the great counselor that you are in somebody's life this week so that somebody receives the breakthrough that they've been praying for. God, we declare it now that this will be a week filled with miracles, open doors, made ways, met needs, granted wants and desires as only you can create them. And we promise, God, that once you do it, we won't take the credit, we won't take the glory or the honor, but we'll give it back to the one that it belongs to. And that's you, God. We count these things done and believe you for them. In Jesus' name, amen. Do me a favor, type in the comments, it is so. If you prayed that prayer of faith tonight, you should type in the comments, it is so. It is so. Quickly. I want you to know God's answering your prayers in your life. And I am so excited about that. And I certainly hope you are as well. Listen, I want to challenge you quickly to give. If this message, if this ministry has been a blessing to you tonight, I want to challenge you to give. You can give at one of three ways. You can give via CashApp, $REHABCCGIVE. You can give through our website, www.rehabcc.org, and simply choose online giving. Or you can give through your cell phone. Text REHABWORKS to 336-642-3210. That's REHABWORKS to 336-642-3210. Again, you can give via CashApp, $REHABCCGIVE. You can give through our website, www.rehabcc.org, and simply choose online giving. Or you can text REHABWORKS to 336-642-3210. And I promise you, if you give either one of those ways, God will be a blessing to you. Good measure, pressed down, shaking together, running over. He'll send people into your life to be a blessing to you because of the way you've given. And we certainly would appreciate it tonight. Listen, I love y'all. I'm praying for you. Don't forget your scripture for the week. St. Matthew chapter 5 is your scripture for the week. I want you to read that, meditate on that throughout the entirety of the week. Make plans to join us for Explanation Thursday, this Thursday, 6:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, exclusively on Instagram, where we're going to walk through Matthew chapter 5 for about 8 minutes and be right out of your way to help you start off your morning and get prepared for your weekend. I love all of you. Praying for you. I'm rooting for you. Hope you have a tremendous week. Continue to pray for me. And we will see you on Thursday. If not Thursday, we will see you on Sunday morning. All right. Love you, praying for you, rooting for you. Have a fantastic week. Peace and blessings.